Hey guys, my name's Karsten Craning, and let's talk about stuff. So today, I want to talk to you guys about the designer known as Carol Christian Poell. Carol Christian Poell has gained a lot of notoriety in the past month and year, mainly because of his circulation throughout memes and on fashion influencers and influx of them lately. And I think a lot of you guys know the name, maybe know one or two of the pieces, but don't actually know a lot about the actual designer or the brand. And there aren't a lot of easily accessible guides, and even the Instagram page itself is private. So I just want to give you guys a little history and kind of basic understanding of the brand and what it's about. Carol Christian Poell has gained a lot of notoriety in this past year and especially a couple of months, mainly because of Instagram influencers' interest in it. You see people who weren't wearing it before wearing it now a lot more. You see people like Fernando, Owen Hyatt, Garrett Wilson, Jacob Hetzer, all starting to either have an influx of followers or a newly found interest in the brand. Even Sanjeev has bought a piece from it. And you're starting to see a lot of fashion memes. There's of course the classic fashion meme of the Dante Circles of Hell, where Carol Christian Poell is at the very bottom and is known as the greatest hole to fall in of depth and despair. You've seen it before. And a lot of these fashion memes, of course, poke fun at the point that Carol Christian Poell is the greatest brand in the world or is one of the most highly regarded. And with that, they're sort of correct and sort of not. Whether it is the greatest or not isn't really part of the question. However, the uniqueness of the brand is there, and the designs are extremely intricate and just out of this world. Carol's audience has always been a bit niche and almost elitist, and that's what usually the fashion memes poke fun at. However, there is a reason for their elitism and the reason that they think Carol Christian Poell is one of the greatest designers. Now bear with me here if you don't understand why Carol Christian Poell's designs would be unique, especially if you've only seen the drip sneakers or the jackets that are very popular and what you see most people wearing. And it's very easy to see why people would think it's boring or not that interesting if you don't have a basic understanding of basic clothing construction. And not a lot of people have that, so that's perfectly valid why most people wouldn't show interest in something when they haven't had the proper tools or understandings to know why it's so unique. However, that's what I'm here for, to show you why Carol is regarded as one of the greatest designers, or why his pieces of clothing are so coveted and expensive. To understand Carol Christian Poell and his work, you have to understand what anti-fashion is. So fashion traditionally is about feminine beauty. It's about youthfulness, trendiness, whatever is luxurious and beautiful in the feminine sense of the word. And anti-fashion is the opposite of that. It's bizarre, it's impractical, it's anti-trend. It can make the wearer look odd and distorted. And one of the greatest examples of this would be Rei Kawakubo, who was the founder of Comme des Garçons. So Carol also plays into this idea of anti-fashion. However, he plays it to the ultimate extreme. He is meant to be the ultimate juxtaposition to traditional fashion. His work is highly thought-provoking, and while traditional fashion is comfortable and fits the body and makes you feel comfortable wearing it, Carol's work is hard to wear. It makes the body look unnatural and twists proportions. Carol doesn't even consider himself to be a fashion designer, but rather an artist. Carroll goes so far to not even release his collections in a timely manner or every season, but instead, like an artist, he releases it when he feels it's complete and when he wants to. So what are the clothes that Carroll actually creates? His main focus is mainly menswear, and his methods are really far from traditional. He mainly does tailoring and leather work, and his methods are highly experimental and also very technically complicated. Some quick little examples of how bizarre and experimental he can get include making an entire coat and tie out of human hair, making an entire pig in its original form into a handbag, and also injecting the animals he is going to use as leather while they are still alive with certain dye into their veins, so the leather gives off this weird effect. Definitely not the most humane. Probably stay away from his leather works if you are a vegan. But Carroll's works aren't just bizarre, they are really technically unique and complex. I think the best example of this would be the spiral trousers he has made that have become pretty popular in recent years. One of the reasons they are so unique is because, unlike traditional denim or pants, they are cut from one piece of fabric. Now, when I say it's made from one piece of fabric, that doesn't sound unique, and it requires me to explain a little bit. Usually, pants are cut into multiple different pieces of fabric, and then they can be stitched together out of those multiple pieces of fabric in a pretty easy way. Now, if you're only cutting one piece of fabric and are just gonna morph the pants from that piece of fabric, that's pretty complex, and it requires you to have to morph and cut the pants in such a way that's extremely precise, especially considering how they're going to fit. And because he created this complex way to make the pants, they have this weird overlock stitching effect that kind of go around the legs of the pants, and it gives it a really unique look. Carroll's work is really hard to understand how amazing and complex it is unless you see the garments in person and notice the details of how they were constructed and how complex it really is. That brings me to another point about Carroll's work. It's not meant to just be seen. You're not meant to just look at the clothes, but you're meant to wear it. That's part of the experience. It doesn't just give off an effect of you seeing the clothes on your body and thinking, oh, that's cool, or I like that, but also the physical act of wearing it is painful and uncomfortable. When you actually wear the clothes, it can scratch you. The limbs of the clothes can be so stiff that you can barely move your limbs, and it limits your movement. And this is because all of Carroll's work is focused on dichotomies. Dichotomies, for example, life and death, pertinence versus decay, man versus animal, male versus female, harmony versus discordance, comfort versus anxiety, wear versus clothing. When you wear Carroll Christian Poell clothing, you hurt the clothes and the clothes hurt you in a way. The spiral pants I mentioned before, the overlock stitching that holds them together is known to be very fragile, and if it breaks, which it often has on people, can cause the whole pants to fall apart or have massive blowouts. Another great example of this is the very popular drip sneakers. The rubber drips that are at the bottom of the shoe, after 2 or 3 wears, they start to go away and just be gone, because as you wear them, the rubber wears down and you're left with a normal looking shoe. So why would a designer make clothes that are uncomfortable and actually get destroyed by your body and destroy your body? Well, it's because Carol wants to make you think. He wants the clothes to form a relationship with you and the environment around you. When other designers are giving you something that's comfortable and easy to wear, Carol is giving you the exact opposite. It's not reliable, it's not comfortable, it's not luxurious, but instead it gives you something that he thinks is greater, a better understanding of life and a relationship. This dichotomy that I was talking about earlier, that Carol expresses in his work, is no better understood than in Carol's two most popular series that are meant to parallel each other in a way. Self-Edge, being the first, is Carol's sturdiest, strongest, and secure series. It's very similar to selvage. If you've ever heard of selvage denim, it's a very similar process. The hem of the clothes are glued together, and it takes 4 times the amount of fabric than regular clothes. Because of this, it's much more sturdy, secure, and it's almost like the brute force of the Carol Christian Poell wardrobe. But because they are so strongly constructed, they're incredibly stiff. It's the most sturdy yet complete clothes Carol Christian Poell has to offer. To oppose the completeness and strength of Self-Edge is the Dead End series. In Dead End clothes, the seams literally never meet, meaning your clothes are literally held together by tape or chain seam. This gives the clothing an effect where it almost looks like they're being torn apart as you wear it, and oftentimes, if you're wearing it enough, they are. Dead end clothes are often pretty fragile and they can break very easily, and they're the exact opposite of the Self-Edge series, which are very sturdy and secure, but possibly too secure for you. In the dichotomy, Self-Edge is meant to represent order, life, secureness, completeness, while Dead End is meant to signify the opposite. It's meant to represent chaos, decay, insecurity, incompleteness. This brings me to the main point of my video. A lot of people are becoming interested in CCP, and that's all right. I wouldn't want to urge anyone against buying it. Carol Christian Poell as a concept is very cool, it's very unique, and it's possibly one of the most unique brands in the entire fashion industry. But that doesn't mean that's for everyone, and that's okay. Carol's pieces are more about art than they are about clothing. They are more about expressing a feeling or an idea than providing a product to a consumer. And because of that, the clothes themselves have to be treated in a certain way, and the wearer has to be ready for that. That's why I personally don't own any Carol Christian Poell. While I remain fascinated by the ideas and the art of the brand, I personally want to wear clothing that I feel comfortable in and that I enjoy and that can give me that sense of confidence and artistic value, but not sacrifice my own comfort and clothes that fit me well, especially considering the price tag and investment it takes to own CCP clothing. And CCP is an amazing brand. It's just that it's not for me personally, and I don't think everyone who is getting exposed to it will also be into it. Now, it may be your thing. You might be like my friend Connor, who is an absolute CCP fanatic, and I'd like to thank him for helping me a little bit research this video and give you guys a basic understanding of it. He gave me so much content. There's a lot you can dig through on the brand. You just have to know where to look. I would recommend checking out the Style Zeitgeist forums if you're more curious now about the lore of the brand. I think I could have rambled on for another 45 minutes about CCP with all the info Connor gave me. So thanks to him, and I hope this guide kind of gave you an idea of CCP and what it's all about, pretty much. And to close it off, my name's Karsten Craning, otherwise known as Meme Saint Laurent. Like, comment, subscribe, do whatever, really.